Right, now this will tell us. And that's pretty conclusive. Still going, close. I think he's got it down.
How strong is he? Got a team, and welcome back to the Pick and Go Rugby podcast brought to you by the TAB. My name is Karl Tily, joined in studio yet again for our penultimate episode by my good mate down the end there, Paul Maoate. Paul, how's the week been, mate? Big week this week.
It certainly was. A couple of big semi-finals, and now we're heading into the final. As Dane Cole said, it's the game you want to be playing in the final week of a Rugby World Cup tournament. The other one, it's the game that no one wants to play, really. But the tournament has built nicely to this point, and I think we've got the two best teams in the tournament, arguably. I think they've played the most consistent footy throughout the tournament. Interestingly, they both dropped games in the pool stage, but turned it up when they needed to. I know we're going to discuss the semi-finals a wee bit later, but it's the final that I wanted anyway, outside of Argentina facing South Africa, which was paying $81 at the start of the tournament.
There's a reason it was paying $81 at the start of the tournament, Paul, because it was never going to happen. We are also joined in studio again by the great Daniel McHardy. Daniel, welcome back.
Great to be back. Bonjour, everybody. I'm doing my best to look French, even though we're not in France. I'd like to. Are you okay? Looks like you're a bit whiter on top. You've been a bit stressed for the last few weeks.
A fairly stressful yes, fortnight. So, yeah.
I can't wait for this. You know, I've been saying all week on SENZ, if you can't get excited about, the two most successful sides in Rugby World Cup history, meeting in a final for the first time in 28 years, I'm not sure I can help you.
We got about it. We went the long way to get there, but as Paul said, probably the two best teams in the tournament have ended up here this week. It's good to see, and we will rip into it shortly. The
two most successful teams in Rugby World Cups. This is the final that should be.
And it shows us once again, I think, that it doesn't matter what you did the year before.
No,
it's about getting it right at the tournament.
That's right. That's right. And we will get to that shortly. But before we do, we're going to start with the predicament of the week, as we always do. Right, boys. You've been named to suit up in the World Cup final by your coaches. Your team is happy you've been named, very supportive. But there is someone else within the squad who plays the same position as you who might be better suited to this particular game. Do you play, or because you're having those doubts, do you go to the coaches and suggest a change? Paul?
Hell no. I'm playing. No, because there's always that chance that you get in the game and things don't always turn out how you think they're going to turn out. So I'm suiting up. Whether I've got doubts or not, I'm going to get stuck in there. And sometimes you're fine. First touch of the ball, you settle your nerves. Not that I've played in a Rugby World Cup final.
Speaking from experience.
But your nerves settle, you get in. You're one of 15 on the field. No, I'm playing. I'm selfish, though.
Well, I might have doubts, but the coach obviously has reasons for his selection. So, and we all back our coaches in rugby, don't we? We never question selections in rugby, do we? So that with good reason. He's picked me in the World Cup final. I don't know which position I'm playing.
For argument's sake, let's say halfback.
Halfback, I'll take that. You definitely don't want that as an aside. But these athletes, these are the games they live for. Could you actually... Firstly, I doubt anyone would think like that.
You'd hope not.
Yeah, I'm not the right person for the job, and I'm sure all of them would play absolutely. So I'm gonna throw that predicament out the window.
All right, done. Easy.
And throw an intercept in the 78.
Which was
right. I was right. Damn it.
No, good. I like it. Back yourselves. Moral of that story. Let's move on then. Quick betting recap from last week. Wasn't good, Paul. After the previous week where we cleaned up as a unit.
Yeah. We got a wee bit carried away with our success in the quarterfinals. I struggled to find something that I liked. I should have just gone with the All Blacks winning by an absolute mile, but I'm I went with Cheslin Colby, and well, that was an old-fashioned semi-final. That one between the Springboks and the Poms, and I think we were lucky to see one try in the match. So, yeah, no, big fail. But I am looking to bounce back this weekend. I know we'll get to that a wee bit later in the potty, but yes, I am certain. I'm almost certain that I found a value bet this weekend.
No, I won't say that. I can't say that. Izzy, he had a multi, New Zealand 11-20, no good. Into South Africa 1-12, which was good, paying $9.60. Unlucky for Izzy. I had Bodie Barrett and Cheslin Colby multied for anytime try scorers, no good. My same game multi, I put sole blame on Richie Mo'unga.
Pass the ball.
I had $50 on at $5. New Zealand winning margin, 17 or more, tick. First half points over 22.5, tick. First half tries over 2.5, tick. Total points, alternate total points over 56.5. We ended up on 50. Richie missed 4 conversions, and there was the dreadful 2-on-1 overlap with Will Jordan unmarked outside him, and he decided not to pass. That is Richie Mo'unga's fault.
And that's his biggest crime, isn't it? Not denying Will Jordan a 9th World Cup try and the record himself. It's ruining your bets. Absolutely.
I know.
Has he apologised?
Has not.
No.
Has not.
Phone's on?
But we're looking to make contact and get that. We'll let him get through this week.
And I think we should mention that the last time Dan was on the potty, he went. It was a very interesting way of selecting his bet. He went. I like Samoa 1-12. I'm going to go Japan 1-12.
And he was very excited about it too.
And
in my defense, I misspoke. I was supposed to say Japan, but I can understand why you think like that. Yeah,
it was on the record.
It was on the record. And check the tape.
It was a win. It was a win.
Yeah, it was a win.
It was a win.
Doesn't matter how you do it.
It was one bet too, wasn't it? So
yep, the whole hundy on.
There's a good chance you're top of the table.
Oh, really?
Yeah, good chance.
Now I'm feeling the pressure. Now I don't want to play. Drop me from the team.
I'm going to finish with a 100% record.
It's going to slowly depart.
All right. Results last week. First game, New Zealand 44, Argentina 6. First 10 or 15 minutes, the Argentinians showed up. There was a bit of back and forth, but after that, turned a bit soft, and AB's kicked on with it, Daniel.
Yeah. Opening salvo from Argentina I thought was really good, really precise. They are one-dimensional, though, so I don't think they're the most troubling side to defend against. New Zealand soaked up a lot of pressure, bit of bending, don't break, and do what good teams do. What do they go down the other end of the field and score a couple of tries within the space of 4 or 5 minutes? And those early tries, there were some worrying signs for Argentina's defence. You know, when Will Jordan's first 2 tries doesn't get touched, does he? That doesn't get touched. And that was, I guess, a sign of things to come. But the key moments really are the try 42 minutes into the first half. They concede a penalty inside New Zealand's end from a scrum. We hit the line out and then work our way and score in the left-hand corner. And then Aaron Smith, brilliant individual effort, soft defence, either side of halftime. Game's over. Yep. The spirit of Argentina was gone there. They were empty, and a bit of huffing and puffing, but it wasn't much of a spectacle as far as a contest, but I just thought the All Blacks were really, really good.
Yeah.
And 44 points to 6 in a semi-final. I know it hasn't been greeted with warmth right around the rugby world, but it's pretty impressive nonetheless.
Especially bounce on post the Irish match and how hard that was to kick on and show such, what's the word, polish in a World Cup semi-final was very impressive. Paul, we talked last week about Mark Tily coming back into the side and, you know, putting in some sort of effort close to what Izzy did in 2011 when he came back after some indiscretions, and he delivered. He did everything but score a try. 101 metres gained, 14 defenders beaten. He was everywhere.
I have no doubt in my mind he is the hardest man in world rugby to tackle. First time up. He bounces out of tackles. His balance is superb. His strength is very, very good. We know he's got speed as well. And the legs keep pumping. Even when he hits into the first tackle, his legs are still moving like pistons on a V8 Holden as he climbs up Mount Panorama at Bathurst. It just seems safe. I just love watching him play. He's brilliant. But the foundation was laid by the forward pack. They were immense, and in particular the type 5. I thought they absorbed a lot of pressure from that Argentine pack early on in the game, and they dominated in, and that gave the platform for the backs to show everything that they could do. I thought outside of the goal kicking, the actual kicking and general play was very, very good by the All Blacks, and I think we got a lot of field position from that sort of good ball produced by the forwards and then putting it down the other end when we had to. As Dan said, there are a number of times when we just ran it from, we could run it from, and that try that Will Jordan scored where I think he got the inside ball from Artie and then went round one and chipped over the top, regathered, and that was
arrogant.
But
very good.
That reminded me of Jeff Wilson, just a wee bit more modern. That it was almost a perfect game from the All Blacks, outside of the goal kicking, outside of the yellow card. And that was a 50-50 call. Barrett was silly to do something like that. The cameras are everywhere now. You just can't get away with things like that. And when we get to the final, discipline will be huge, because if you're down a man for even 10 minutes in the final, that could swing the game. So, but outside of that, great game.
I think you're being a bit gentle to Scott Barrett. Silly is probably not a harsh enough word. Reminded my kids trying to reach up onto the bench and grab the chocolates that they're not allowed to, right? It was needless in a lot of ways. But you're so right. We're seeing Super Rugby Richie Mo'unga at this tournament. One of the best players ever in that competition. I don't think has always been able to dominate Test rugby, but he's been excellent, hasn't he? And just when you want him to be. Tily, he is going to regret missing that quarterfinal for the rest of his life, probably. And I was expecting a fizzing performance from him, but he's a slippery fish. You just can't keep him down. He always beats the first man, and I just love the work rate. Searching for work. He was excellent. So there were lots of bright individual performances, but you're so right, Paulie, that collectively, keeping them tryless into just 6 points in a semi-final, again, excellent stuff.
Well, I've got about 1,000 segues I could take from both of your comments here, but I'm going to go to the yellow card. Intentional? In terms of when they had the opportunity to bring a 15th player back, the All Blacks chose not to. Could he have been told to make some sort of illegal play, to be sent off, to put a bit of pressure on 14 men for a longer period of time?
No.
I think the ideas come when he's in the bin.
Yep.
Let's finish this game with 14 men. I know Ian Foster tried to sort of dodge it in the post-match press conference, suggesting something along the lines of, we didn't want him to get another yellow card. Well, that's not how the rules work. If you get 2 yellow cards and get sent off, you don't automatically get suspended the next week. Here's a good example. Scott Barrett, just prior to the tournament, right? He got 2 yellow cards and sent off against South Africa, and he went to the judiciary based on the second yellow, wasn't it?
Yes.
To see if it was warranted a straight red card. He was free to play. So I think the idea to finish with 14 is a bit of a boss move.
Not the first time the AB's done it either.
Exactly, and I think it's probably calculated.
Yeah,
the game's safe. Let's see what we can do with 14.
Yeah.
Although it was Argentina, I think they could have defended with 13 because there wasn't much ingenuity in their attack.
Or just attack at all. Another one someone mentioned the type 5, and the Lucies in particular been very good around the ruck. In the Irish game, 5 turnovers won against Argentina. We're going to need to keep the same sort of level of energy around that ruck this week, but has been pretty epic.
Yeah,
what they've done.
Breakdown was everything against Ireland. It's going to be exactly the same against
South Africa.
South Africa.
Yep.
Sam Cane, remember some Irish pundits told us he couldn't ruck before that quarterfinal. He's turned up. Adi Savia is playing at Artie's level for the last couple of weeks. You know, prior to in 2023, I was very, very good international player, but Adi Savia can go to heights that so few people on this planet can in their respective codes. And Shannon Frizzell, well, what can you say about him? Whether it's front foot ball, static ball, he's just a weapon and has just blossomed in front of our eyes this year.
He is. He's great. But we go back to the quarterfinal against Ireland, and you sort of thought the loose forwards sort of cancelled each other out. Well, that wasn't the case. The All Black trio totally outplayed Peter O'Mahony and his two mates.
And Van der Fleer had a quiet game.
Yes, yeah. But I don't think they were allowed to sort of exert their dominance on the game because of the offensive defense from the All Blacks. Sam Cane was just an absolute demon. Tackled anything, not just tackled, but then drove most of them back behind the advantage line. It was very, very good to see. If they do that again in the final, then they're a big, big chance of going on to win. But there's a whole lot of things that have to happen. The Springboks have, I don't know what it is, but they have a winning mentality when it comes to Rugby World Cup finals. We'll get to that later. Anyway.
What, and we don't? I say we, New Zealand don't?
They've never lost a Rugby World Cup final. The only one we've lost, funnily enough,
Yeah, I know.
Was against South Africa.
I know.
they've never conceded a try.
They've also only scored 2. We've scored 4.
In fairness, they scored one in 1995, but the referee just forgot to award it. Mr. Kruger. New Zealand rugby fans like to ignore that.
Yes. Yeah. Forget about that.
We have selective memories.
Let's focus on.
Hey, I know we're going to move on, but just a special shout out to Marcus Kremer of Argentina. That guy, talk about giving everything to the bitter end and losing calls. That was so impressive. I love the his shoot one. He's fantastic, isn't he?
Well, after Susie, we needed someone on our side.
One more on the that game. We mentioned standout players, Dan, and we touched on Will Jordan, Mark Tily. Another one for me, Aaron Smith. He is playing like he's 19.
Well, I spoke to
21.
Graham Bishop today. He's a pretty good halfback, right?
Mm-hmm.
Went okay.
Yeah, went okay. Absolutely brilliant player.
Speaking of 95.
Yeah, for kids watching, check out his highlights reel. A lot of similarities I've always found watching Graham Bishop, Terence. And Graham Bishop, he's playing his best rugby of his career.
Mm.
You know, that's high praise, isn't it?
What, how they're in France. So I guess he's like a good bottle of Bordeaux. Just he's getting better with age.
A renaissance.
All right.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
There we go.
Big hole to fill next year. Just anyway. All right. The other game, England 15, South Africa 16. Complete transparency. I have not watched the game. I had every intention to, had it recorded, and then everything I heard and everything I read was that it was shit and boring. I have watched the last 10 minutes, of which the ball was in play for about 4, and that sounds like it sums it up.
Well, objectively, it was a hard watch. I'll give you that. But we do look at rugby from an almost pious position in this part of the world. We think it should be played a particular way. Sorry, it's not. And England's tactics, while dull to us, proved to be relatively effective. And the conditions too. I don't think we've talked enough about the conditions. When
It's very wet.
Jamie George throws a ball into the line out and it goes that way, that's kind of an indication the ball might be a little bit slippery. So maybe they played the right way. They were always going to play that way. They had the highest kicking percentages of any side, I think, in the mid-70s heading into that game. They kicked away 93% of possession, England. But you know what? I nearly got them over the line. But not all art has to be beautiful. It was tense and tight at the end, and that's what made it quite compelling in the second half. It wasn't pretty as far as the aesthetics of the game, but unlike the first semi-final, it gave us some jeopardy, didn't it?
I thought England were going to get in through the back door.
Yeah.
It had that written all over it. But it just goes to show I guess the mettle of the South African team. They don't tend to panic even when they get behind. And some teams, when they get behind, the game plan goes out the back door and they just crumble. South Africans just knuckle down, rely on their defense to keep them in there, and they kept the English triless, sorry. And then they picked up crucial points when they needed to. Andre Pollard steps up with about 3 minutes to go, knocks over a crucial penalty. And then they grind out that last sort of 2.5 minutes. It wasn't pretty, but South Africans and their fans won't care if they win an ugly final. In fact, I don't think we'll care if the All Blacks win an ugly final.
We did in 2011.
2011, yes.
No one cares. No, you don't get to play the World Cup final after like 2015. To do that, you have to have one of the best, if not the best rugby team in the modern era, if not any generation. That was stacked, right? So part that one. It's going to be more like 2011. I've been calling them the team that just won't die all week. They really are the zombie apocalypse. They're just always coming back. You've got to bury them 10 feet deep, don't you? They're the hand coming out of the grave. And for 60 minutes, I thought they were utterly lost. They looked disheveled, they looked rattled, making silly errors, playing into the hands of England. But credit, you take on Ebon Estebeth. How many of us thought, why is he taking him off? The calls they made, the impact the bench made, and they get out of jail. And they're a smart team too. Like, they're well coached. I think I'll speak for all of us here. Tell me if I'm wrong. Did all of us think they were going to drive off that line out?
Yes.
Yeah. I think everyone in the stadium, I think everyone in the rugby world thought they were going to drive off that line out, and Dion Ferree pops off runs, gets them behind. A couple of phases later, they score. So
Shining, easy.
They're a smart team who, as you so rightly point out, they don't panic. They're so hard to kill. They really are nightmare on Box Street.
2 little puns in there. Like, nice.
I just did 25 on SENZ.
You're on fire.
Went through a whole movie.
They are the walking dead of the rugby world.
Looking at the stats, England dominated the whole game. Yeah, like you say, just a powerhouse team that doesn't give up. And the watching back that last 10 minutes when they got the penalty, the camera panned to the bench, and Etzebeth was like in shock, sort of big wide eyes, big kind of smile, scared, nervous. Like it obviously means a lot.
Yeah.
So,
and the English played really well. Like, how good was Courtney Laws? How good was Itoje? They're big players fronted. And I think we've dined out on their poor form leading up to the World Cup. But I always found, I'm pretty sure I said it to you guys when I was here last, you look at that team on paper, always looked like there was a good team there. And I think they gave a pretty good account of themselves. But I think they've obviously got a lot to work on, that they too could probably be accused of being a little bit too one-dimensional.
Score some tries, mate.
Yeah, but
there's a philosophical difference on
this pious view. Yeah. This is what we're getting here.
Yeah. Look, I'm all for winning the game however you need to win the game. But as a fan, I want to see some tries. And, you talk about being one-dimensional. All they do is kick goals, kick drop goals. If that, you can defend that. Throw it around, score some tries. What happened 2019? They're throwing it around, scoring tries. They're in the final. Yeah.
I feel like you're leaving a few to the keeper here.
Come at me, bro.
No. Oh, you've got enough rope there. I'll leave you to it.
We'll move on. Before we get to the games this week, quick round table. Wayne Barnes is the referee of the final. A lot of Kiwis, New Zealanders may be feeling a little bit apprehensive about this, but he is the most capped referee in the world with 110 tests. Yeah. One of the best going around. Probably likely to hang up his whistle after this.
Deserves to be there.
He does, yeah, 100%.
He has been the best rugby referee for more than 4 years. He should have got the last World Cup final, but could have.
Because there was a certain team in there. Yes.
So he would have done consecutive work. It's so obvious. I think we've moved on from 2007, haven't
Oh,
we? I think you're in the minority if you talk about 2007.
Yeah.
Surely, what was that, 10th or 12th test or something of his
Yeah.
career? I think the proof has been, 100 test matches since. The guy knows what he's doing.
Agree. If you are looking at 2007, get out of here. Don't want to hear it. Unless he misses a forward pass and we lose.
Oh, here we go.
It's right. But the French are giving it to Ben O'Keefe at the moment.
Yeah.
Lawrence Delalio and others giving it to Ben O'Keefe after, I guess Ben O'Keefe's going to be the one who cops it now, even though I don't think there was anywhere near a howling miss like the quarterfinal in 2007.
You can't play rugby without a referee. Like these guys, they do it for the love of it. We can't continue to bash them for little mistakes like this. If there is a mistake, some of them 50-50 calls that Ben O'Keefe. Last week, people are talking about the scrum penalty at the end there. Like,
well, what else is he going to rule there?
You do it. If you can't.
Seriously, what else is he going to rule there based on the 5 or 6 scrums beforehand?
Yeah.
When it was all the Springboks.
He reset that scrum.
Who has more incentive to bend the rules there on halfway? The team who's dominated the 5 or 6 scrums beforehand, or the team who knows they're being dominated and might need to shake up things? You hear him articulate it quite well. Hand on the floor, might have been knee, one or the other, and then driving it in. I think one of rugby's great problems at the moment, other than the convoluted, confusing law book, which makes it difficult for the referees to ref, I think that's absolutely fair. But I think there's a bit of a pack mentality with regards to heaping on referees. And some of the takes I hear from people I don't think have read the rule book, the law book, whatever you want to call it.
He is Wayne Barnes is a lawyer too, isn't he? That's his trade. He knows his stuff.
What's the All Blacks record?
I've had a look.
In games refereed by Barnes.
Winning record, right?
Correct?
Oh, yeah. Deep dive into Wayne Barnes's tests. He's refereed New Zealand, South Africa once. That was in the 2014 Rugby Championship. South Africa won 27-25.
Only once?
Yep.
That's surprising.
He has reffed South Africa 16 times for 12 wins, 75% win rate. But the last game he reffed with South Africa, they lost 30-26 to France last year. And before that was 2019 World Cup v Japan, the quarterfinals. So it's been a long time since the France have played under Wayne Barnes.
So if you take New Zealand results out against South Africa, they win all tests about 66% of the time.
Yep.
So it's higher when he's there.
Yep.
It's your conspiracy.
New Zealand has been reffed by Wayne Barnes 24 times, the 4th most
of any country.
For 16 wins at a 66% win rate.
Oh.
Not bad.
Conspiracy.
Not bad.
Don't let the facts get in the way of a great story.
I was actually reading a stuff article today, and they listed the win percentage for New Zealand. Said, New Zealand have a poor win percentage with Wayne Barnes. Like 2 out of 3 is not bad.
So I find this really hard to digest, the correlation between a referee and a team's win performance, like win ratio over an extended period, right? What about missed tackles or drop balls, those type of things?
It's fun.
I just think it's
fun
reductive,
game to play.
Isn't it? It's a bit reductive. Like, the reason they lost that game was the referee. Some people had a crack at Angus Gardner, suggesting that, helped the All Blacks. Well, I think New Zealand got some 50-50s, a couple of pedantic ones too in that first half, rubber the green. But it's just rubber the green. There was a 38-point difference in that game. If you think the referee was a big reason for that, I worry. I worry. This is good heated stuff.
This is very good.
I'm liking that.
It is. It's good fun. I'll finish. The team he's reffed most, Wales. 46% win rate. Ireland, 26 times for a 46% win rate. France, 25 times, 60%. Australia, 22 times for a 68% win rate. So the Southern Hemisphere teams do better than the Northern Hemisphere teams. With Wayne Barnes, doesn't really mean anything, but it was a fun game to play.
It is. It's almost like he's a good ref.
Almost. Which leads me to the next question. We kind of said it at the top. Who's the best referee in the game? let's say after this game, Wayne Barnes hangs up his whistle. Who is next cab off the rank, in your opinion, Paul?
Look, I'd put Ben O'Keefe up there, regardless of the sort of reaction he's getting from the Northern Hemisphere at the moment. I think he lets a game flow. He doesn't insert himself in a game when he's not needed. And I think the best sort of compliment you can give a referee is he was invisible. And I hope we see that on Sunday morning in the big final. I actually like Ben O'Keefe. I think he's a very fair-minded referee. Doesn't seem to go in to any games with preconceived ideas. Just referees what he sees.
Dan?
Well, I think World Rugby rate Ben O'Keefe because they've given him some pretty big games. I think their panel for the knockout games has been about right, really. I wasn't shocked with any. The one I hear most about, and I kind of agree, Luke Pearce probably is on the next tier down. Raynal probably in that mix. So, yeah, I think they got their officials pretty much bang on for this stage of the tournament. And for the final, I think there is a clear, obvious candidate, and he's been given the whistle.
I really like Angus Gardner. I don't know why. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's style he refs or just the sort of his personality, but I really like him as a referee. I thought he did very well last week. Maybe I think it might be he always gives the explanation to his rulings, and he does it in a way that the audience can understand.
Yes.
All right. Game previews this week. 3rd and 4th playoff that I'm not sure anyone cares about, not even the teams. Argentina, $3.30. England, $1.30. Paul, are we seeing any betting into this game?
Yes, we are. So in terms of the match result market, there's a slight lean towards the Poms in terms of single bets. When you start to factor in all the multis that are flowing through that option, then there's a huge skew towards the Poms. The punters are really, really like that. And I like them as well. First of all, that performance they put up against the Springboks in the semi-final. Plus, there's a lot of Rugby World Cup final experience in that English squad from the last World Cup. And as Dan said, Argentina are fairly one-dimensional. So they're easy to, if you get your defensive lines right, they're fairly easy to shut down. I've just had a look. A $15,000 multi.
Excuse me?
On England in the match result into the All Blacks in the final.
Just in
the match result market. And so this punter doesn't want to draw in either game.
Wow.
At full time. That's to return just a tick over 33,000.
Wow. That is a big bet.
Yeah, it's slightly bigger than the bet I'm going to make.
That is huge.
Funnily enough, that's the bet I'm going to make. I think England win this game, but not by a big margin. Argentina, I don't think you can say the game they don't want to play. When Michael Cheika was asked in the immediate post-match interview, how do you feel about the tournament being over? And he's like, straight away interrupted.
Hold on a minute.
Yeah. We've got a game next week. They're going to be up for it. They won the bronze medal in 2007. They didn't in 2015. That 2017 is remembered rather fondly in Argentina for obvious reasons. They cracked the rugby championship after that, didn't they, in someone? So I think they'll give a better account of themselves than they did in the semi-final. Pressure's a little bit off, isn't it? But I still think England will find a way to win that game. Yes, although I'm not going to do a Japan-Samoa. I wouldn't be stunned if Argentina turn it on and actually turn them over. But you look, they met in the opening game of the tournament, didn't they? And Argentina were absolutely abject. And England were just so professional. So I think something similar, probably a closer scoreline. I think England will win.
I think Argentina get this one. I think they would have learned a lot in that first game. They're disappointed. They'll be sort of looking for some revenge. They didn't have. I don't think their bodies will be as sore this week, post the game last week. It wasn't obviously a tight game. So I can just see them. I can see them getting up here. I think they'll be pretty disappointed that they didn't put in a showing last week, or they didn't. I'd say they were aiming for that final, right? That was their goal. They haven't hit it, so they want to bounce back with a big game this week, like you say, emulate 2007, head home with a medal and continue some good form for Argentina as a country on the back of the Football World Cup last year. You know,
it got me thinking, what countries are a chance of winning the football and the Rugby World Cup? And Argentina sort of there or thereabouts. France, certainly.
England, no.
England, no.
Mate, England's a very good football side at the moment, unfortunately.
So, yeah, there's not too many countries, I don't think, that you could put in that sort of that group, but Argentina definitely. And the coffee shop that I go down to on a Sunday on Oriental Parade
living the dream.
It's run by Argentinians, and they've got a painted mural on the wall. It used to just be Lionel Messi just going like this, and now he's got the World Cup between his hand, and he was very, very happy after the Football World Cup. And although he wasn't happy after that semi-final, I can't say he was too disappointed.
Yep.
Can I offer some advice to those watching? Make sure you check the team sheets before you make a wild prediction about how this game is going. I just then. There's no courtly laws, so it's going to be closer than I thought. There's no courtly laws. It's a more changed England side. The Argentines have run out basically the same side just to change at halfback, it looks like, and maybe also at lock, where the walking yellow card, Lavanini's not there. But he's out of the squad altogether. So there you go.
Well, that might bring into play the try bet for that match. Either team to win by under 7.5, which is paying $2.50. I'm not saying you boys should factor that into your betting, but the way both of you are talking, it sounds like that sort of fits the profile of this match.
Sounds like it fits the profile of your betting.
No, I'm staying away from the third and fourth playoffs. I'm all over the final.
All right. Let's get to the final now. New Zealand, what did you say, Paul? They've changed now. They were $1.65 head-to-head. Well, they are $1.65 head-to-head. South Africa, $2.15. In the match result market, it's $1.67, $2.25, $16 for the draw. New Zealand 1 to 12, $2.60. 13 plus is $3.80. South Africa 1 to 12, $3.10, and 13 plus $6. Paul, will the TAB still be in existence if New Zealand win?
Highly unlikely. Highly unlikely.
A lot of money for New Zealand.
Oh boy. First of all, the outright market, where the All Blacks took more money than all the other teams put together.
Wow.
So there's that. Now we get to the game, and we can't turn the tap off. Kiwi punters, I don't know if they are so confident about this in terms of the money that they're laying down. 80% of turnover in that match result market, and the All Blacks are currently $1.67, South Africa $2.25, the draw at $16. 80% of turnover in that market is on the All Blacks. In the head-to-head market, 70% of turnover, as you said, All Blacks $1.65, is on the All Blacks. The first try scorer market.
Let me guess. Will Jordan.
Yeah, Michael's cousin.
Goes okay.
40% of turnover is on Will Jordan to score the first try. He's at $9. This is all one-way traffic in terms of support for the All Blacks. We cannot turn the tap. We've had two $10,000 bets on the All Blacks at $1.72 in that match result market. We had a $5,000 bet on the All Blacks to win by 13 and over at 450. We had a $2,000 bet on the All Blacks 1 to 12 at 270. This is, yeah, for mine, before the market went out for the final, I thought this was a coin toss.
It was pretty close too, wasn't it?
It was pretty close.
Was it
The All Blacks were slight favourites.
$1.75?
Yeah. And since then, the money that's come has just forced the bookies to squeeze the All Blacks into $1.67. I'm tempted to take the Springboks at 225. I don't see too much between these two teams. And I'll get into my betting a wee bit later on. But in terms of the action, it's all about black.
I've got.
Can I ask a question?
Go for it.
South Africa get up, does that make it the best day in the TAB's history?
Well,
Are you going to have a good day?
well,
An enormous day?
Yeah, the TAB as an organisation might have a good day.
Yeah. Well, Pat.
yeah.
Well,
The-
Personally, we'll be very sad.
Oh,
Yes.
We will be
absolutely.
very
Yeah.
sad.
I think we can.
Like maybe-
I think the two are quite separate.
Correct. Yes,
Yeah.
I'll be
Yeah.
watching the game on Sunday morning. I will be cheering for the All Blacks.
Yeah, exactly.
maybe some of the bookies might be happy.
Yeah, they tend to take it a wee bit more personally, but no, we are very, very happy, and we will be very, very happy if the All Blacks win.
Question to you, Paul. You said you'll take South Africa at the 220 or 225, whatever it is.
Yep.
Is that because you think South Africa will win?
I think the two teams are a lot closer together than the odds suggest, and so from a purely betting point of view, if I'm looking at a market and I think Team A and Team B should be very, very close together in terms of their odds, and one team is paying slightly more than that, then I have to back my opinion and take them.
I had this conversation / argument with a good friend of mine the other night.
ACR?
Yes. And I know exactly what you're saying. I understand it. But if you do not think they will win, why would you put your money on that option? Why not back the option you think will win?
No, I didn't say I didn't think they will win, and I didn't say I think the All Blacks will win. What I said was I'm looking at the odds that are
Who
on
do you think will
offer.
win?
As I said, It's a coin toss.
Well, the
It could go
emotional
either
hedge
way.
is a real thing out there.
Oh,
right?
it is.
Like,
100%.
Yeah.
The emotional hedge is a
Yeah.
real thing.
Yeah.
Like my brother's watching. He emotional hedges everything every week.
Talk to Warriors fans about that. I've got a theory, and I kind of touched on it before. Keen for your opinion here, Dan. Do we have to consider the opponents that each of these teams have played in the lead up to this final? New Zealand had that very tough physical game against France 6 weeks ago. Since then, Italy, Uruguay, Namibia,
So one team in the top six.
Cake
New Zealand's
walks.
beaten, essentially.
and
According
then
to the world rankings right now, we've beaten one team in the top six. South Africa beaten three.
so my
What about Ireland?
What does it mean?
well, that's what
Is that the one
that's what I'm
team?
getting to. We've got Ireland, and then that was tough. Whereas, like you say, South Africa played Scotland, which scoreline suggests it was a walkover. It wasn't. Scotland had their chances. Tonga, who are a physical team, into France and England, both very tight, very physical, very tough, taxing. Are New Zealand in a better place physically after this tournament from start to now, in a better place than South Africa?
Well, if I'm to embrace my inner Russia Erasmus, I could argue yes. He was very quick to point out and went to great lengths to point out about the extra minutes Ireland had in their legs that after they lost to the All Blacks in the quarterfinals. He was very keen to point that out, that maybe they nurtured their squad a little bit better. So New Zealand got to nurture their squad a little bit better, didn't they? They got to take key players off, give them minutes break, but they've also got one extra day to prepare. So I think there might be a little gain to be had. As far as the question of do I pay much attention to how they got here, who they played? Not really. I sort of bin those. Finals are finals. Finals are weird things. And what I know throughout the history of Rugby World Cups, very rarely does a team play 3 great games in a row. There's generally
It's
a game
very,
there's a game just like the one we just saw between England and South Africa that is often won by a team who goes on and wins it.
I don't like where you're going with this.
Well, if I'm a South African fan, I'm so overjoyed about that result to get out of jail like they did, but also the performance they had. I don't think they're going to be anywhere near as sloppy and off colour this weekend. So I think I've done my best to answer any question.
Paul, who is the most important player for New Zealand in this match? Or player or players?
Outside of Wayne Barnes?
Oh, come on, man.
Okay.
That's a good question.
I'm going to go Sam Cane.
Okay.
I'm going Sam Cane because he, in that big game against Ireland in the quarterfinal, he stood up and was counted. Now, I know Artie Severe is the player who his skill level has a much higher ceiling than pretty much anyone else on the field. So if he plays to those high standards, and because he plays at such a high level, a good game for him, you look and you think that's just average Artie Severe. But he plays so much better than anyone else on a regular basis. But I think it's Sam Cane. I think this team has really rallied around Sam and taken a few of the comments from other teams personally.
Receipts,
yes.
Artie would say.
Yep. Yeah. So for mine, Sam Cane.
It's a tough question to answer because it's not who's the best player, it's who's the most important. So I would look at this as where's your biggest drop-off if that player's not there? I think I could make an argument for Shannon Frizzell being the most important. Do we have a like-for-like replacement for him as a number 6? Not really.
No, it's
sort of crowbar Dalton Papali in there, different sort of bunch of skills. So
or Scott Barrett.
Scott Barrett,
Let's not do
absolutely.
that again.
Geordie Barrett, again, do we have someone who can really replace what he brings?
Remember that try-saving tackle he made over the line?
Yeah, so the 6 and 12, well, I think is such important positions in world rugby anyway. I'd probably elevate them into the conversation, but I don't think there is a clear winner on this one. We could go around the table for a long time on this.
I've got 2 names here, but if I think about it in the way you're thinking about it, who, in terms of replacement value, I think Aaron Smith's probably number 1 standout. Not who I had on my piece of paper here. I've got Artie Severe. I think if he's, like you said, Paul, if he's as devastating best on attack and a pest around the ruck, then we're halfway there already. The other one for me, Bodie Barrett, showed his brilliance in that Irish game. He's kind of been building all tournament. He's played 120 tests. He's a 100-test winner. He's Super Rugby winner, played in the World Cup final. He needs to be on point. He needs to be decisive in his running and his kicking. I do not want to see any aimless kicking from Bodie Barrett this game. The way you said, we mentioned the Argentinian game, the start of it, very first, I think he received the ball off the kick and just sort of looked around, sort of just punted it to nowhere.
Yeah.
And the Argentinians were straight on attack. And I thought, oh, God, here we go.
I thought New Zealand were actually quite sloppy in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Which sort of goes against what they've been about in 2023. I think the way they've started games has been a real feature. From the first game of the year against Argentina, that first half of Mendoza, the way they started at Mount Smart, the way they started against Ireland. I think New Zealand need to start fast. We know South Africa, no obstacle coming back. But you're right. And again, they've done it more often than not this year. And I think a lot of that comes down to coaching. Although it's not cool to praise the All Black coaches, is it? I think they've looked a pretty well coached side this year.
Sir.
Just back to Frizzell.
Yes.
I think we've struggled to fill that 6 jersey since Jerome Kaino retired from international rugby.
Yep.
And we've been searching for someone to slot in there, and we've finally got someone in Frizzell. So he is a big part of that team. And if he has a big game, that's another sort of piece of the jigsaw puzzle that'll get the All Blacks that much closer to winning the Rugby World Cup final. So, yeah, we have for a number of years just struggled to find who's going to slot into that 6 jersey. And Frizzell's gone, yes, it's me.
Yep. What about for South Africa? Who's their most important player?
I've heard some interesting takes on social media in the last few days that Ivan Easterbeth is the greatest South African rugby player of all time.
The greatest rugby player of all time,
that's
ahead of
yeah.
McCaw, yes.
The best rugby player of all time. Jason Colby's the best winger of all time. You know, I had much admiration for South Africa. The zombie apocalypse, you know, I marveled at their ability to wriggle out of tight situations. But they're a 23-man team, right?
Yeah.
They are the definition of a team. They yank their first 5 in a semi-final after 30 minutes. You know, who would have the cojones to do that?
Yeah. There's no other team in the world that would do that unless there was an injury.
Yeah, because why? They have faith in the alternatives.
Yeah.
You know, they grow giant humans for the second row off trees, right?
Yes, all they've got, look, we've got this game plan A. After 30, 35 minutes, we can see that's not quite working. We're going to go with game plan, not B or C. They've got like D or E. And that requires a replacement here and there.
Yeah.
And they're not afraid to do it.
And if you give them too much space on the width, they've got 2 wingers who can absolutely flay you. If you want, they have an ability to be a far more rounded side than they often show. But what's their priority? Winning. Right? They do what they think is best on the day.
And they've got Rugby World Cup winning experience in this squad. You have a look at the players there.
In the front row and second row, the full trio, the hard, the midfield, and the back three.
There's a lot of carryover from 2019 in this squad. So they know what needs to be done to win a Rugby World Cup. I cannot believe they are out at 225. And that's
There's
why
a few World Cup winners in the New Zealand squad.
How many?
Just thinking off the top of my head, 1, 2, 3, 4.
About
5 or 6, yeah.
We're in double digits. If you count the bench, then we're almost a 15.
Look, you guys still haven't answered my question. Who's the most important player for South Africa?
Rusty Erasmus.
What's
Plays games during the week.
He certainly does.
I've been a little bit worried how quiet he is this week, as my colleague Louis Watts been saying. He's much more comfortable when he can see Rusty. Right. You're much better when you know where Rusty is.
You need him out front.
Oh, who's the most important? They play off 9 a whole heap, don't they? Reinek, I think, really struggled last week. It's been interesting. Again, only South Africa would make a change like that, would they? Drop their leading halfback, replace him. I find it hard to identify one, but Ivan Easterbeth is, pretty darn fine player. Khaleesi is just the heart and soul of that.
He is.
Team.
That's who I've got.
But yet he gets taken off after 50, 60 minutes every game. So that they are a team.
He's got a very Khaleesi's got a very Thierry Dusetois.
Not Thierry Henry.
Feel about him.
Both good
2011 Dusetois. Paul, have you got a player?
Andre Pollard. I think this is going to come down to goal kicking, and I have no doubt that we will see him, if not in the first half.
Can kick.
We will definitely see him in the second half. And you know that anywhere from around halfway, he's deadly. But I think it's going to come down to a penalty or a drop goal. I haven't seen that option in the power plays yet, but very, very keen to see a successful drop goal in there somewhere.
You make a good point. 2015, when New Zealand won, we had arguably the greatest first 5 of all time controlling our game, and he took a drop goal. He knew what we needed when we needed it. Took a drop goal. Does New Zealand have that? Anyone in the team that has that mindset or ability to sort of see forward far enough and pull the trigger on a drop goal, or someone that can even kick a drop goal in our squad?
Yeah, well, they have Moanga
and Barrett. He can do it from halfway. So
did one of them try that against Argentina? Or maybe that was the Argentinians off at 22. I'm thinking 15 by my count. 15 World Cup winners are likely to be in the South African 23 from the final.
It's a whole
It's a
heap
lot
of
of-
Okay, that's
experience.
a few.
That is a few. And I can't believe I have spent 5 minutes talking about South Africa and not talking about my boy, Peter Steph Toy.
Yes.
That guy is a heck of a player.
He sometimes gets lost in that Springbok forward pack. He not because he doesn't do anything, he does everything.
World
And-
Player of the Year, remember?
Exactly.
He was named the best player on the planet.
And when they have the bomb squad on the bench, he's the one forward that usually doesn't get taken off. He's the one forward that they keep on for the whole 80 minutes.
Unless he needs an HIA break.
Here we
quarterfinal.
go. Here we go.
Mate, it's not their job to implement the rules, is it? It's the match officials. It's funny though when Pino runs into Peter Steph's chest and Peter Steph's got to go off. That was quite funny.
Quick.
And guess what? He gets a 15-minute break and comes back and plays like Peter Steph Toy.
Teams haven't been named yet. We're recording on Thursday midday. I can't see. I think I know how you guys are going to answer this, and I can't see it happening. But the last time New Zealand played South Africa, they had a 7-1 split on the bench.
Mhm.
They've tried that a couple of times during this World Cup. The last 2 weeks, it's been 5-3. Do you see any changes from that 5-3 split going back to a 7-1?
I don't think we see a 7-1. It's possible they go to a 6-2. But more likely, I think he sticks with the 5-3.
I think so too.
Yeah, it's not a 7-1.
No.
I can't see it.
There's just too much. I guess you leave yourself open if you get an early injury to a back.
Yep.
Because that's basically it. You're using your one sort of back replacement if you go 7-1, and even 6-2, you really leave yourself open a wee bit there. So I think we're seeing from the quarterfinal stage onwards the sort of pattern that their near nub is going to go with.
Yeah, we're not seeing Kwagga Smith wearing number 23 in
No.
this game like we did at Twickenham. Maybe 6-2 because they have Kwagga Smith, who is a bit of a, one of those Swiss Army knives. So, but it's 5-3 or 6-2.
Yeah,
they're definitely not going down the 7-1 path. The risk reward's not there. I think I was on with you last after the Ireland game where they tried 7-1, didn't they?
Yes.
And they all came on, and the impact just wasn't there. Against guys like Andrew Porter who played 75 minutes, against Ty Byrne and those guys. The risk and the reward just doesn't make sense.
And they missed a few kicks in that game. So yeah, no, they'll have either two or three backs on the bench.
cool. All right, before we move on and get to some betting, a real quick start one, bench one, cut one. My favourite game.
We're talking referees.
No,
Oh.
we are talking South African first fives.
Oh, have we got Nas Borter in there somewhere?
We do not.
Oh,
We have got Joel Stransky, played in the 95 World Cup, kicked
kicked the
3 from 4 penalties.
he
and
kicked the winning
2
one in extra time.
from 2 drop goals. We have got Percy Montgomery, who was part of the 2007
I
winning
think of him
team.
more as a
He's a
fullback.
Fullback.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hornstar Percy was not.
Yes.
He played a bit of first five.
He-
Okay, instead of South African first five, South African
Give me Henry
kickers.
Hoddyball. Or,
kickers, South African kickers,
yeah.
4 from 4 penalties in that game, and then Andre Pollard, 6 of 8 in 2019 off the tee penalties, and 2 from 2 conversions. Start one, bench one, cut one.
Well, I'm starting Percy because that'll be funny, him playing at 10.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, I'd cut him the other 2. That's tough, isn't it? Joel Stransky, the winning drop goal. He called an audible for that. They were going to set some phases and then have him in the pocket. The scrum wheeled in his favour.
And he said,
And
nah.
he said,
Give it to me
he,
now.
he cancelled it, got the ball and nailed it. That's like being so calm up there, seeing the game at a different sort of level. I'm a big fan of Andre Pollard. He's won a World Cup too, but I'll probably start Joel. Then
Bench Andre.
and
Yep.
Percy,
Exactly the same.
Percy's
Yep.
got- Percy can be my hydration manager because he makes good gin.
Is that what he does
I think
now?
It's gin or
Is it-
vodka. It's one of
Okay.
those he's peddling.
You the same, Paul?
Yes, yeah. Stransky, Start, Percy. Cup.
Great hair.
Great.
Yeah,
Magnificent hairdo.
Shoulder pads.
Yes.
Yeah, good. Bring back the shoulder pads and the gloves.
Oh, how 1999. Yeah.
But first person I think of. Who's the first person you think of when you think of the gloves?
Oh. I don't actually.
Alan Hewson.
Byron Kelleher
Byron Keller.
and the yellow Adidas balls.
I just think of a white jersey for some reason. I think the English were big into
Yeah.
the gloves, weren't they?
Yep.
Probably
Johnny
associated
Wilkinson
more
wore the
with-
gloves.
Yes. Yeah,
Yep.
that's probably what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Bring back the gloves. All right, let's wrap it up. Get to some betting. We've got $100 of hypothetical money to bet with. I'll start this week. I've got 2 plays. First one, $50 on the alternate point start in the Argentina v England match. I'm taking Argentina minus 4.5 at $4.60 to return 230. And my other 50 will be on a same game multi in the New Zealand v South Africa final. Match result, New Zealand, first half total tries, over 1.5. So 2 or more. First half alternate total points, under 27.5. Will Jordan, anytime try scorer. Man loves a try. $50 at $5 to return 250. They are my 2 bets. Paul, yours, please.
Right. Okay. So we're sort of betting against each other in a way here.
That does not surprise me at all.
Look. Okay. Hear me out. There've been 9 Rugby World Cup finals so far. Okay.
Mhm.
Of those 9, only twice have more than 2 tries been scored in a Rugby World Cup final. Only twice. And only once have more than 4 tries been scored in a Rugby World Cup final. The line we have at the moment is 4.5 tries in this final. I can't take my eyes off under 4.5. The only time it's gone over was the 2015 World Cup final when the All Blacks arguably had one of their greatest teams of all time.
And kicked away late.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, the game lost a wee bit of shape, and I think the Aussies got a couple of late tries, whatever. The other one was in 1987, the very first one, where the All Blacks
Who was involved in
at
those
Eden
2?
Park. Well, let's talk about who was involved in the finals where no tries were scored.
I already know.
South Africa. 1995, no try scored. 2007, no try scored. Both involve South Africa. Their defense when it comes to Rugby World Cup finals is superb. So I'm going to go $70 on under 4.5 tries at $2.10. I just think that's just ridiculous value. I see this being a very dour. No, it's not going to be a dour. I think it's going to be very exciting. But I just think in the end, the defense from both sides is going to be huge. I'm also going to have $10 on no try scored at $61. I'm just looking at the stats. I can't turn my eyes away from that. So under 4.5 tries, $70, $10 on no try at $61. And when you get a close game, I sort of like, I like, how do I say this? The teams are going to be close at halftime and the teams are going to be close at full time. I think we're going to see a bit of a turnaround. I think we'll see the All Blacks maybe get out to an early lead. And I think the Springboks are going to come in over the top. So I've got the All Blacks to lead at halftime, South Africa to win. That's paying $8. I've got 20 on that.
Okay.
You don't want to hear that, but I just think
You are allowed an opinion.
that when it comes to a game like this, South Africa might. No, I just think at the odds, South Africa have the edge because of what we get, because of the weight of money that we've taken on the All Blacks. The Boogies have been forced to push the Springboks out, and that that's done enough for me to have a little stab at them. So instead of just taking them in the head-to-head or the match result, I'm going All Blacks to lead at halftime, South Africa to win at $8.
There, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Bear with me. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. In the last 18 matches between New Zealand and South Africa, the lowest total points, 24. And it was in 2014, 14-10. I'd hazard a guess to say there has never been, probably since that World Cup final, a game between these two teams where a try hasn't been scored.
I'll go back to 95, 15-12, no try scored.
That's what I just said.
South Africa against New Zealand.
Scored.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Wasn't in the newspaper.
We'll
sorry,
put
South
that to the
Africa.
side.
Hang on, I've got I don't know, 3-12 in 2001. Presumably no try scored there, maybe. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, 2011, 2 tries scored in that, 1 each. All Blacks only scored 1 at home.
Yep. No, good. I like it.
World Cup finals.
I like following stats. I do like it.
They're different. They're a different beast. Even to a semi-final or a quarter, they're a totally different beast. There is so much pressure on, so much expectation on both sides that I think they tend to just, instead of trying to win the game, they try not to lose the game or to make a horrendous error and hand the game to the other team. Outside of that 2015 final.
Now we're starting to get back to the predicament of the week at the top of the show. Do you have doubts? You got to go out and win these things. Sorry. Dan, your bets.
No, you guys. This is I didn't feel like I should say it.
Lucky, no, you stay in the middle.
You both make really compelling points. I'm going to start with the bronze medal match. Historically, you like a history lesson. Historically, a high-scoring game.
Yep.
At the knockout stages, some dodgy weather around Paris, which I don't think any of us have mentioned until now. And
Gee, does that bring the two teams a bit closer together again?
No.
41 to 50 points.
Oh, Larry.
Combined points.
Larry.
Yep.
$3.30. I think that's paying rather. So that I'll give $20 on that. That's as much money I'm willing to spend on the bronze medal match. And it's time. Hopefully it'll be less than that. Oh, I'm with you. I don't think there's more. Is it 4.5 tries?
That is the line for the game.
I'm under that. I'm on. The weather forecast doesn't look very good, unfortunately. It looks like there's rain today, tomorrow, the next day, every day, it seems, up until and after the final. I think that, as well as the analysis of previous World Cups, makes me think 5 tries will be quite a stretch. So I slap 20 on that. If I could slap $20 on Will Jordan not to score a try, I would. I don't think anyone's breaking 8. After the Richie Mo'unga non-pass, that tells me that number 8 is just not going to be broken. That's 4 people now on 8 tries, isn't it?
Yes.
Got Jonah, Savia,
Habana.
Brian Habana, and Will Jordan. So I know that's not a punt you can make. I disagree with you in the sense, I think South Africa lead at halftime and we win. I think we sort of kick away.
Yes, Daniel.
I see us, flipping the script. I think a lot of people think South Africa's in front. I think it's really important New Zealand start well. I get that. But I'll go another $20.
At $6.50. South Africa to lead at halftime, All Blacks to win.
Yeah. I'm not overly convinced with that $20, by the way. I'm more convinced with $20 head-to-head New Zealand winning. I just have a sneaking suspicion they'll get in, but it's really tight. So it's $20 1 to 12. There's not going to be a lot of distance between these two sides.
Oh boy.
Yeah. And you got 20 left.
And I've got 20 left. And I'll go in any time try scorer. This is going to be the romantic one. What's the most romantic storyline of all our departing All Blacks?
Sam Whitelock.
Sam Whitelock doesn't get many tries, does he? You've read my mind.
Off the bench to win
what
the
is
game.
Sam Whitelock paying to score a try? I've got to scroll a long way down, don't I? I'll have to scroll a long way down to find
I
him.
don't think
He's
he'll
not on
be
the list.
quoted.
He's not on the list.
He won't be quoted because He's starting off the bench. I don't think
Well,
the boys will put him in.
money to play with after doing so well in Japan. So am I.
You do.
Punt. So it's that or a South African winger with an intercept.
Ooh.
When things go wrong for the All Blacks against South Africa, it's usually high kicks or a poor pass, and they steal one.
So I said, no aimless kicking, please.
Yeah. Well, would you like to know an uncomfortable fact? Who kicks the ball? Who's the next on the list behind England for most kicks at this Rugby World Cup from general play?
Probably Bowden Barrett.
Probably your team, the All Blacks. The All Blacks kick, right? Get in your head. When we were excellent 2011, 2015 and onwards, we kicked the ball a very high percentage of the time. We just kicked well. We kicked aimlessly over the last half an hour against France. That's what you want to avoid, completely understand. But New Zealand will kick, they'll have variety in their kicks. There'll be short and behind, there'll be kicks to the wing, there'll be high kicks. And South Africa, we'll have to deal with that. Freddie, how good was Freddie Stewart for England last week? I don't think any Englishman since Bond has dismantled that many bombs. He was quite brilliant. Now, I don't think there's anyone of his level across the team. So in wet conditions, kicking's going to be a big part of this game. I've bought myself enough time. Yes, I am going to lock Sam Whitelock in to score any time try later on.
Nice.
How good would that be? Is it 7 test tries?
How about
two on debut?
How about the last try scorer?
Oh yeah.
Drops the mic. Boom.
See you later. Done.
Yeah.
Speaking of done, that'll do us, gents. Thank you very much for another good episode. To everyone out there, thank you for listening. We will be back next week to recap it all. Check in with our futures bets that we placed at the start of the tournament. And yeah, hopefully
Go the All Blacks. Come on.
The All Blacks will have another World Cup trophy. So we will see you next week on the Pick and Go Rugby Podcast.
Always bet on black, right?
Always bet
So
on
you
black.
guys will be back. I'm not sure if Paulie's hair will be.
Oh, just trying to take a leaf out of Percy Montgomery's.
Shout out.